We are aware of the aspect of the divine light that animates us. We are aware of the fact that we are alive. We can call it a locus, we can call it something else, but we are aware of that energy. We are not at all aware of the energy that brings us into existence, yesh me'ayin. Good evening, good evening. This is the eve of the 8th of Shvat. We are preparing for huge Shvat in all kinds of ways, but what we are doing tonight is learning Basi Legani and the way the Rebbe explains it. And we want to dedicate the shiur for the safety of all Jewish people, and especially the soldiers, that should be successful and have complete victory and be unharmed, beguf u'benefesh. And so too the hostages should be returning home and unharmed. And those who need refuah should have immediate refuah, and those who are not well, those who are injured, should heal quickly, immediately. And Am Yisrael should have the total Yeshua and Geula HaMitzvah Shleima. So this huge Shvat we can already celebrate all in Yerushalayim, B'ezrat Hashem. Last week, we spoke about the divine vision of establishing or building the Mishkan that is supposed to accomplish the transformation of turning the sheker of the world, the lie of the world, into the keresh, the boards of the Mishkan. So we need to deal with the shtus of the world. We need to deal with the inauthenticity, with the untruth of the world that goes way below logic as we see these days. And we need to turn all this to a Mishkan for Hashem. How do you take all this mess and transform it to a Mishkan to Hashem? Says the Rebbe that you do it through shtus de kedusha, meaning one way or another we need to transcend our ego, that's number one, and get to the place where even the calculation of kedusha don't apply anymore. This is an avodah which goes way beyond logic and way beyond selfish or self-oriented calculations, to the extent that one is ready to give their life for the cause. Very applicable to our times. We are all on this battlefield of the prestige of the king, of good versus evil, of truth versus lie, sheker, keresh, and kesher with Hashem, with the oneness, with the truth, the divine truth, versus the sheker of the world. And for this we need to do avodah lemala mitam avadas shtus de kedusha. And this type of avodah, says the Rebbe on the top of page Tes Zayin in the booklet, is done by those who are called Tzibos Hashem. We are all called Tzibos Havai, the army of Hashem. And the inyan of Anshe HaChayil, the soldiers of the army of Hashem, is that they go b'msiros nefesh, avodah lemala mitam vadas, in order to win the war. We are mamash, the Rebbe is talking to us in real time. And they go al menat limsor nafsho. They go with the intention to be moisor nefesh. And this, says the Rebbe, is the inyan of kol echad ve'echad mi'Yisrael. It's the inyan of each and every one of us. We are all now soldiers on this very critical battlefield. There are those who are physically in Gaza and there are those in New York, but we are all soldiers, one way or another. And that's why we are called Tzibos Hashem, says the Rebbe. To the extent that we need to transcend our cheshbonos and egos and so on. And even cheshbonos the kedusha, says the Rebbe. To the extent שאפילו קל שבקלים, this is where we ended last time, מוכן למסור נפשו על קדושת הוויה. Even the most simple, uneducated Jew, at times of real challenge, you can find that he is ready to give his life for the sanctification of Hashem, even if he's not so spiritually educated. Now, בהשגחה פרטית, this is פרק י"ח in Tanya, which is now the Chitas. We are learning about the Ava Mesuseret, and then towards the end of this chapter, that will be probably Friday, the Rebbe will say, the Alter Rebbe, exactly what the Rebbe quotes it, שאפילו קל שבקלים מוכן למסור נפשו על קדושת השם. By the way, if we're already talking about how the Alter Rebbe talks about it, the Alter Rebbe says that there are two levels of Mesiras Nefesh. Also, it's there in the end of Perek Mem Aleph in Tanya. There are two levels of Mesiras Nefesh. One level, the Alter Rebbe says, is shaykh to every Jew. What is this level of Mesiras Nefesh? That he would do anything not to be detached from Hashem, not to be disconnected from Hashem. And that the Rebbe says, shaykh to every Jew, to the extent of Mesiras Nefesh. But then the Rebbe says there's a higher level of Mesiras Nefesh. It's not about me. It's not about me connected to Hashem under all circumstances, which is the first level of Mesiras Nefesh. It's about doing what Hashem wants. It's about carrying out this divine vision. So his vision, his wish, will be fulfilled. And if you allow me to say, and I think I even heard Rabbi Paltiel, Yossi Paltiel saying it, or something similar to that, that it looks like the Rebbe is educated an entire generation. We're talking, Fegi, about Verbringen for Yud Shvat. Fegi requested we should Verbring for Yud Shvat. So this learning is half Verbringen, half learning, preparing ourselves. So we can say that the Rebbe educated an entire generation to live a life to be ready to living a life of Mesiras Nefesh of the second level, which means to dedicate our lives for Dira B'Tachtonim, for godliness to be disseminated and spread in the world, so God can be dwelling here and revealing His own essence, and the nations, the Goyim, and as a result of us being ready, will be also ready. All the nations, the Gentiles, all the nations of the world will be also ready to receive that revelation, which the Rebbe talks extensively in Dvar Malchus of this Parsha, Parshas Boy. That in our Parsha, with Boel Paro, the Rebbe teaches, Hasidus teaches, that Moshe Rabbeinu was afraid. Paro represents revelations of light on Geula scale, unrestrained, infinity, no Rachmanus, no Tzimtzumim. The whole thing. Moshe was afraid. How will I be a Keli for this? And Hashem says, I'll come with you. Don't worry. Bo el Paro. I'm not telling you lech. I'm telling you bo. I'm coming with you. Come to Paro. I'm going with you. And the Rebbe is saying it to each and every one of us, that now we are entering a time that we are approaching the hechal of Paro b'kedusha within ourselves. This is the level of Mesiras Nefesh where when we throw ourselves into Yiddishkeit entirely, into our relationship with Hashem, there's nothing else left. This is our passion, this is our will, and this is our pleasure. To the extent of Mesiras Nefesh, Tzivos Hashem. Let's continue. וממשיך לבאר, this is page ט"ז. And the Rebbe is saying that the Rebbe is now summarizing until Osiyud Daled, which he will expound on. So ממשיך לבאר, the Rebbe says that the Frierdiker Rebbe continues to explain. And if you look at number 24, the footnote 24, we got already to Rebbe summarizing chapter Yud Aleph of the original Basi Legani. שבשביל ניצחון המלחמה ישנו עניין האוצר שנותנים מלמעלה. That to win the war, there is this אוצר, this treasure that is given from above. And the Rebbe will go in the next few prakim to explain this treasure at length. Beginning with what the Zohar calls Or and Sof, Lemala Mala Ad En Ketz and Lemata Mata Ad En Tachlis. And now we will learn more what Lemata Mata Ad En Tachlis means. And then the next year, the next parak is, it shouldn't be a whole year, it all comes together. Lemala Mala Ad En Ketz. And then the Rebbe will say that the Osar is even higher than that. This is all Or. And what will be revealed to us, what is revealed to us is even higher than Or, is the Maor, the Etzem. We are living in very special times. The spiritual treasures that are made available for us are uncalculated. They are not calculated if we deserve, if we don't deserve. They are given without any calculation, milamayla, with any restraint. So we can win the war. And that means practically, personally, that we now have access to kochos nefesh that we never touched before. We have access to layers, to dimensions of our soul that we never reached and activated before. And that is an expression of the Otzar Milamayla. ובדוגמת עניין המלחמה אצל מלך בשר ודם. Like war, a human war. When a king is fighting a war, leading his nation, שאפילו האוצרות שלו נגע בהם עד אז, ולא רק האוצרות שלו, אלא גם האוצרות שעצרו אבוסיו, שהם יקרים אצלו כל כך, עד שאפילו אינו מראה אותם. That all these royal treasures, that nobody touched them until now. And not only what he collected, but collections from previous generations that are so precious and so one with the royalty and with the king himself that they are not even displayed to be seen by others. Now, הנה בשביל ניצוח המלחמה, in order to win the war, and look at footnote ד', שזהו תכלס כוונס ורצון המלך, רבי יואל עליו השלום brings from the Rebbe speaking during Shabbos, that this is the goal and the intention of the king. And this is נוגע, the Rebbe says, למעלה יותר משכלו. And it reaches higher than the mind of the king. שלכן עושה דברים שאינם על פי שכל. And that's why the king in this situation does things that are not according to logic. לבזבז האוצרות. To splurge the royal treasures to win this war. הוא מבזבז כל האוצרות שלו והאוצרות שעצרו אבוסיו, ועל ידי זה מנצח במלחמה. And he splurges all his oitzos and the oitzos that his forefathers gathered and collected, and through this he wins the war. So it just gives us just a trace of an idea of what infinity is made available now to us. והעניין בזה שעניין הניצחון הוא מצד מידס הנצח. What is this nitzachon about? This nitzachon is the revelation of midas hanetzach, of the attribute of victory, the divine attribute of victory, and also the soul attribute of victory, שמגס בעומק הנפש ביותר. Sfiras HaNetzach is very unique in the sense that it's rooted and reaches very high, deeply in the essence of the soul. ולכן, and therefore, הנה ככל שתגדל מעלת האדם, the greater the person is, יהיה אצלו מידס הניצחון בעומק יותר. His attribute of victory, of being victorious, of making the point, of being the winner of truth, becomes greater and more intense. ועל דרך, to the extent, like what Rabbeinu Zichronam Livracha said in the Gemara, where is it? 25, Yuma, the Gemara about Yom Kippur. כל תלמיד חכם שאינו נוקם ונותר כנחש, אינו תלמיד חכם. We are told in the Torah not to be noikem and not to be noiter. You're not allowed to take revenge, and you're not allowed to hold grudge. So how come the Gemara says that כל תלמיד חכם שאינו נוקם ונותר like a snake is not a Talmid Chacham, is not a sage? Obviously, this is not the victory of the ego. Obviously, it's not personal. Obviously, it's about the truthfulness of the soul. When the soul of a Talmid Chacham is counteracting any evil or any distortion of truth, of Torah, then the Talmid Chacham is expected to be nokem and noter, to fight for the truth and to win, not to be merciful. And the greater he is, the greater is midas hanitzachon. And why is it compared to a nachash? Why the Gemara compares the nekima and the netira of a Talmid Chacham who is counteracting someone who is diverting and distorting truth, the divine truth? The Talmid Chacham is supposed to be hissing and vengeful and grudging like a snake. Why like a snake? Because the Gemara says that unlike human beings, many people, when they take revenge, they enjoy it. We enjoy it. When we are hurt and we are reacting from the ego and we can hurt back and we see that the person got hurt, then we enjoy that we paid it back. I paid him back. Chazal say that in the Nachash, when the Nachash is makish, how do you say? When the Nachash, how do you say, bites? How do you say this special, in Hebrew it's called lehakish, nekishas nachash. How do you say it in English? It's a special term for snake bite? No. So when the snake bites, says the Gemara, he doesn't enjoy it. Doesn't enjoy it. He bites, but doesn't even enjoy it. And that's like a Talmid Chacham is compared to a snake because he's not doing it for his ego. He's not doing it for personal motivation that he has to save his kavod. He's doing it for God. He's doing it for truth. שזוהי המיילה שבעניין הניצחון. This is the maila. There's a special quality and intensity of midas hanetzach that reaches way into the soul. אלא שהנקימה והנטירה צריכה להיות לפי התנאים שנשברו בגמר או בפויסקים. However, of course, the nekima and the netira, that is usually commonly not allowed, forbidden, when it comes to nekima and netira of Torah, of a Talmid Chacham, it's allowed and even expected and is obligated. But it has to be done according to the laws of the Torah in terms of doing it in the right way and not giving access to ego or to any klippos here. So bottom line is, Midas HaNetzach, the greater the person is, the deeper and more intense his Midas HaNetzach is, ועל אחת כמה וכמה בנוגע למלך, המשמעו so when it comes to the king, שעניינו הוא שמשכמו ומעלה גבוה מכל העם, that the מלך is higher than the entire nation, כולל גם השרים, even the ministers, הרי מידס הניצחון אצלו היא בתוקף. When it comes to a king, his מידס הניצחון is very very intense. ומצד מידס הניצחון, הנה אפילו האוצרות שלו תשורה מעין אדם. מצד מידס הניצחון, even treasures that no human eye sees them. And we're talking about the divine אוצרות, that no human eye had seen them yet. לא זו בלבד שפוסח אותם ונותנם, not only that now the king is opening them up and give them to us, אלא עוד זאת, but more than that, שמבזבז אותם, he splurges, doesn't make חשבונס. הוא מחלק אותם על ידי שרי הפקידים שהם פקידי החיל, and he allocates and he gives out all these treasures, disseminates them through all the commanders and all the פקידי החיל. But what is the intention? The kavana bazeim anshe achail, so that all these oisos will reach the simple soldiers, the anshe achail who are on the battlefield. Shehem dafka osim et hanitzachon. Dafka them are creating the victory. V'hainu she'af shepkidei achail. Page י"ז. הם אלו שמונחים ויודעים כל החוכמות שבתכסיסי המלחמה. Even though it looks like, the ones that are really important are the commanders, all these high commanders in the army, because they know all the tactics and all the strategies and all the maneuvers of war, and they are planning everything. Nevertheless, says the Rebbe, מכל מקום, אלו שפועלים את הניצחון הם אנשי החיל. Those who are accomplishing the victory are the soldiers. It's you and you and you and you and me. שמוסרים נפשם בפועל. And all those in Gaza and in the north and wherever that are moiser nefesh בפועל. And we should be moiser nefesh also. Mesiras haratzon, that our ratzon all day should be like a ratzon of a soldier, just to accomplish the nitzachon, the victory of the king. That it should be known בקרב כל העמים. And his malchus should be revealed לעיני כל העמים. כפי שמבאר גם בסיום המשך ההילולה. As the Friedrich Rebbe explains. ומזה מובן, from this is understood, says the Rebbe, שכדי שבני ישראל יוכלו לנצח במלחמה, להפוך את שקר העולם, ולעשות ממנו קרשים למשכן, שבו יהיה העניין דבשכנתי. And from this all is understood what? That in order to בני ישראל, means you and you and you and me, will win the war, and we have a big war now, good against evil, and to change over this lie, the falsity of the world, and to make of it boards for the Mishkan. So we will accomplish what Hashem wants, meaning, V'shachanti b'sacham, that he should dwell and be revealed in each and every heart of ours, and then throughout the world, נותנים להם מלמעלה, לא רק העניינים שבגדר גילוי. Then from above we are given not only עניינים that are in a category of גילוי, the עניינים that are meant to be revealed. But the העניינים with נוגע to God himself, אלא גם עניינים כאלו שדוגמתם למטה הוא עניין האוצר. That is between God and himself. It's like this otzar that is sealed and never opened up. שהוא כמוס וחסום. That it is hidden and sealed and concealed. Me'en kol ro'eh, from the eye of anyone that could see, nobody could see it. Milvad HaMelech Atzmo, except for the king himself. And so, too, you can say about Torah HaChasidus that is more than is revealed step by step, more and more and more and more, that this is part of this treasure, to the extent that it's even the depth of Torah, to the extent that it is the secrets of the Torah that are just about the king, between the king and himself. והיינו, שהוא עניין שלמעלה מכל עניין של גילוי. We are talking now about otzos that are above any inyan of gilui. There are certain things like godliness, Or Hashem. That Or is created to megale, to create gilui, for revelation. But when you talk about the relation between God and himself, it's not meant for gilui. It's meant to be experienced between God and himself. And this Otzar, says the Rebbe, is even higher מכל עניין של גילוי, אפילו גילוי בדרגה יותר עליונה, even the highest revelations. But we have to know that we are given now nuclear energy. And nuclear energy, we will see, that has to be watched very carefully. But because we will see that this nuclear energy is going all the way lemata mada ad en tachlis. And we have to make sure that we need to deal with that, all the way down to klippos. In any case, let's look at page Yud Ches. Now the Rebbe is beginning to explain spiritually what is this Otzar. And as I said before, first the Rebbe will explain what is this Or Ein Sof, godliness, which is like a bridge between God himself, which is beyond any word and any description, and worlds and ourselves. And after explaining this Or Ein Sof that has two elements to it, two expressions to it, Lemala mala ad en ketz, as the Zohar says, and lemata mata ad en tachlis. And when we have a little bit of appreciation for that, then the Rebbe says, we will find that since the Rebbe says here that the oitzah that is given is higher than gilui. And what is Or Ein Sof? Or Ein Sof is Or. Or is gilui. Or is revelation. Or is light. Light is revelation. Light is megale. Light reveals. Comes the Rebbe and tells us that the Otzar is even higher than Or Ein Sof. It's Atzmus Or Ein Sof, the way God is in relation to himself. This is what is given to us now and made available. But let's go step by step. והנה, now, page י"ח. הדרגה הכי עליונה בעניין הגילוי. What is the highest gilui? You want to say that, first of all, gilui, gilui of Elokus is a big thing. And now you will say that the Otzar is even higher than gilui. But let's look at gilui. The highest level of gilui, of revelation, is hu gilui she'ein lo sof ve'ein lo tachlis. The highest level of revelation is revelation that has no limits. Not above and not below. Not anywhere. That's the higher level, the highest level of revelation. A revelation that has no limits, no end. וזה שמביא בהמאמר, מה שכתוב בסיכוני זוהר, שאור אין סוף הוא למעלה עד אין קץ ולמטה עד אין תכלס. And that's why the Frierdiker Rebbe brings from the Zohar, that the Zohar says that this is what Or Ein Sof with godliness is. The divine expression and the divine revelation is למעלה עד אין קץ, and למטה עד אין תכלס. Infinitely divested from any form and going towards God's essence, and infinitely expressing and revealing godliness. All the way to the lowest of the lowest, ad ein tachlis, no end. This is the quality of this Or Ein Sof. The mala, infinitely high and infinitely low. והיינו, שמזה שנקרא בשם אור, מובן שזהו עניין של גילוי, שהוא גדר האור, שהרי גדר האור הוא גילוי. So, as we said, since it's called Or, we understand that we're talking about revelation, because that's the agenda of Or. Or is meant to megale. You turn on the switch to megale, to reveal what is in the room, the light switch. אבל אין זה אור גילוי סתם, אלא אור שנקרא בשם אין סוף. It's not סתם אור, but or that is called אין סוף, infinite, שהוא למעלה עד אין קץ ולמטה עד אין תכלס. Infinitely high and infinitely below. הוא מסביר גודל העניין שבזה. And the Frierdiker Rebbe explains the great idea here. החל מהביאו בעניין דלמטה עד אין תכלס. Beginning with explaining למטה עד אין תכלס. Even though the Zohar says first למעלה עד אין קץ, and then למטה עד אין תכלס, the Frierdiker Rebbe begins with למטה עד אין תכלס, goes the other way around. Beginning with למטה עד אין תכלס, and then going next chapter, תסבב, to למעלה עד אין קץ. Why? Because מצד avoida, here look at Daled, at Zayin, I'm sorry, footnote Zayin, from Rabbi Yoel. והיינו דאף שלשון מאמר הזוהר למעלה עד אין קץ ולמטה עד אין תכלס, even though the way the Zohar expresses and describes Or Ein Sof is first למעלה עד אין קץ ולמטה, and then למטה עד אין תכלס, מכל מקום מקדים לבאר העניין דלמטה עד אין תכלס. Nevertheless, the Rebbe begins למטה עד אין תכלס first, opposite the Zohar, משום שעניין זה נוגע יותר לאבוידה, because going מלמטה למעלה is more applicable to the avoida, to our עבודת השם, ומביאור העילוי דלמטה עד אין תכלס, יובן יותר העילוי דלמעלה עד אין קץ. And when first we understand what special, unique phenomena it is that Or Ein Sof goes down למטה מטה with no end, that will help us to understand the uniqueness and unique quality of למעלה עד אין קץ, ומזה יובן ומכל שכן, and how much more so, that after, so when you go מלמטה למעלה, that first you understand למטה עד אין תכלס, then you understand למעלה עד אין קץ. Now you covered Or. Now you're going even beyond Or, and you go to the Ma'or, מכל שכן גודל מעלס האוצר. You get to the אוצר itself, which is even higher than Or, למעלה מעלה עד אין קץ. שהוא למעלה מעניין הגילוי דאור אין סוף. The אוצר is higher than the גילוי of Or Ein Sof. We now have to prepare the world for the גילוי of Or Ein Sof. That's boil paro. Boil paro, it's priu, means that all the oros are completely revealed. Or Ein Sof, higher than Seder Ishtalshelus. But this is what we have to disseminate now first of all in the chutza, in the goy within us, and also in the goy, in the umos ha'olam, in the nations of the world, in the consciousness of the world around us. But the otzar that is made available to us, this treasure that is made available to us to accomplish this, that the Gilui Or Ein Sof, we will all be kalim for it. It's a nice accomplishment. Is even higher than that, higher than Or Ein Sof. So this is where we are going.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Could you please repeat what you said, what it means that the R goes lamai lamaila adin kates lamata mata? You started explaining it a bit. like you were talking about Lamaila is like infinitely divested. I was like, got a little lost there, but I would love to hear it again.
Right. If lemata mata ad en tachli, I mean, I don't want to talk about it at length now because this will be from Tesvav, this will be the topic. So now we are learning lemata mata ad en tachlis. But if lemata mata ad en tachlis means how Or Ein Sof takes on a form, so to speak, how Or Ein Sof expresses himself, all the way in the finite worlds, and we will have to find out how. And even if in the Chiddush of the Rebbe is in the revealed, it's not just the Metzius of Or Ein Sof. We will learn that not only that Or Ein Sof is present in the lowest worlds, it's even Begilui. That's the Chiddush of the Rebbe. Even in Klipos, in a reality of that Klipos, and the Rebbe will teach even below Klipos, because even Klippa does his job. Even Malach HaMaves, the angel of death, is an angel. Klippa does its task. And we have freedom of choice to go even below Klippa, God forbid. So even there, Or Ein Sof is shining Begilui. We'll have to explain that. And after that, Chaya is anxious to know what it means going higher of Lemala Ad En Ket. So if you, generally, you can understand the idea that I mean, there's much more to say. But if Lemata Mata Ad En Tachlis means that one way or another, Or Ein Sof is expressed in the lowest of finitude, and even in realities that deny godliness. So lemala mala ad en kates is how Hashem is how the godliness of this Or is divested of all this, and takes on more God's face, not the world's face. So we learned the Arazain, right? The Hainu. That means the lemata mata ad en tachlis means that Or Ein Sof goes down ad madrega hayoter mata shebeseder ishtashelus. We will need to understand how Or Ein Sof goes down all the way mata to the lowest levels of seder ishtashelus, of the order of the devolvement of worlds, from the spiritual to the most coarse and physical. Ba'olam hazeh atachton shehu olam ha'asiyah, which the lowest is this lowest world, which is the world of Asiya. ובעולם העשייה גופה לא רק ענייני קדושה וענייני רשות שבו, אלא גם ענייני הקליפוס. And in this world of Asiya, not only in the realm of holiness you find, and mitzvahs and so on, you find Or Ein Sof, but also in ענייני הרשוס, like neutral, so to speak, matters that are permissible. They're not a mitzvah, not an avera. They're neutral. So they're also Or Ein Sof. They have no kedusha to them, like nature. Nature is not kedusha and not an avera. It's neutral. It's klipas noiga. Reshus. Not only that, not only that in an kedusha of this physical world, not only in a reshus shebo, אלא גם עניין הקליפוס. But Or Ein Sof goes down all the way to the realm of Klipos, שגם הם קשורים עם עולם העשייה. Klipos, which means ungodly forces, are also connected with the worlds of Asiya, or forces that cover up, let's call them forces that cover up godliness. But ungodly, you might think there are other independent forces, God forbid. Forces that cover up godliness. They are very much connected with the world of Asiya. Most of them are here, even though there's a little bit klipa also in the spiritual world, but not so coarse and not to that extent, like in our world. ויתרה מזה, more than that, Or Ein Sof reaches אפילו עניינים שהם למטה מהקליפה. Or Ein Sof reaches even matters that are even lower the klipa. כמבואר בתניא, in chapter 24, שהאדם החוטא ועובר על רצונו יזבח, הוא גרוע ופחוס הרבה מאוד מהסיטרא אחווה קליפה. כמאמר יתוש קדמך, that the Alter Rebbe explains in the Tanya that as a result of us having free choice, a person who sins and transgresses the will of God, he is even lower and lowlier than the other side, than Klippa, than those forces that are meant to cover up Elokus. Kemamar, even lower than a yatush. He becomes even lower than a mosquito. Mosquito is a Kabbalistic symbol for the lowest creature. Why? Because it only takes, it doesn't put out anything. And that's the symbol of Klippa. Because Kedusha always gives, and Klippa always takes. have. כיוון שהקליפה ממלאת את התפקיד שלכך נבראה. So when a person sins, he's even lower than Klippa, because Klippa fulfills the task for which it was created. והיינו לא רק עניין הקליפה שהיא שומרת לפרי. And we're talking about any Klippa. Or in Sof reaches any Klippa, not only those Klippas that are meant to protect the fruit, but even עניין הקליפה כפי שמסיס ומפתה, even Klippa that seduces and is tempting Klippa, לעבור על רצונו יתברך, that tempts us and tries to seduce us to transgress God's will and God's commandments. בדוגמת הזוינה ששכרה המלך כדי לפסוס את בן המלך. It's like that harlot, that Zoina, that prostitute, that the king hired her to try to seduce the prince in order to strengthen and to test the springs and the prince, and to make sure that he can be strong enough to stand and bystand all temptations. But yet, שבזה ממלאת את ציווי המלך. By this she is fulfilling the command of the king. מה שאין כן החוטא ועובר על רצונו יתברך, which is not the case. When someone transgresses God's will, then הרי הוא למטה מזה. Then he is lower than קליפה. ובזה גופה ישנו אופן שהוא חוטא ופושע בעניינים של לעומת זה או בענייני הרשוס. And even in lower than Klippa there are levels. The Rebbe is describing here lower. In Klippa, he also describes different levels of lower Klippa. This is a chote. Chote, להחטיא means to miss. Is one that missed. Then Poshea is the one who's criminal. He's intensely sinning. And then it depends in what. There's sinning in עניינים של לעומת זה, עניינים that are ממש קליפה, and then sinning in עניינים of רשוס, that he is abusing that which is permissible. That's also sinning. It's not meant to be like that. אך ישנו גם אופן שלמטה מזה. But now the Rebbe describes the lowest. There is a way of going, of lowering, of creating such a low reality that is such a disgrace, that משתמש בענייני הקדושה כדי לעשות הפך רצון העליון. That one has we have so much freedom of choice that one can use matters of holiness to do and to justify and to do the opposite of God's will. To take the energy of Kedusha and turn it against God. על דרך צלם בהיכל, the Rebbe called it. You see the Ara Ches. It's like putting an idol in the temple. שזהו כמשל, as the Alter Rebbe brings in Netanya, a very, very hurtful and painful mashal to read, is כמשל האוחז בראשו של מלך ומורידו למטה. It's like someone who holds the head of the king and brings it down, וטומן פניו בסוחו. The Rebbe doesn't want to finish the sentence. But the Alter Rebbe says there that he takes the face of the king and he puts it in the toilet, in the sewer. וכפי שמסיים פייג' יוטס בתניא, שזהו מה שכתוב במיימר, this is what it says in the Maimar of the Frierdiker Rebbe, שבכוח התורה, in פרק י"ג. למטה מטה עד אין תכלס began already, in פרק י"ג, שבכוח התורה אומר דבר הלכה, it began in פרק י"ב. Now we are peaking the למטה מטה עד אין תכלס, פרק י"ד. The third פרק about למטה מטה עד אין תכלס. שבכוח התורה אומר דבר הלכה שהוא הפך התורה. That he uses the power of Torah to say את דבר הלכה, which is the opposite of Torah. שגם זה נכלל בעניין דלמטה מטה. This too is included in the inyan, in the point that the Rebbe is making and the Zohar is making, that Or Ein Sof is going למטה מטה, no end, even to such a situation. על כן, עד כאן הוא המבואר בי"ג פרקים הראשונים. Till now, says the Rebbe, I quickly reviewed what it is explained in the first 13 chapters of the previous Rebbe. Now, base, page Yutes. Now the Rebbe quickly gives a summary of the 14th chapter, and then from Gimel, the Rebbe is giving his explanation, and referring back all the time to the Maimar. וממשיך בפרק י"ד, and he continues with chapter 14. והנה בכל זה, ואתה מחיה את כולם כסיב. To explain all this of Or Ein Sof למטה מטה עד אין תכלס, the Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe brings the pasuk from Nehemiah. ואתה מחיה את כולם. You enliven or animate all, כסיב. והארס אור אלוקי, הרי נמשך להבוס ולהחיוס את כל הנבראים מאין ליש. So there is a radiance of divine light that is drawn down in order to bring to existence and animate all creations, all creatures. In what manner? מאין ליש. From non-existence to existence. וכדאית באיגרס הקודש סימן כ' דהערה 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 ובכל הנבראים ונוצרים ונעשים. So the Rebbe explained, the Alter Rebbe in Siman Chaf in Igeres HaKodesh, shortly before he passed away, that the Ara of Ara from Atzilus goes into the Nivraim from Or Ein Sof. Atzilus and Or Ein Sof is together, is one. Is בכל הנבראים ונוצרים ונעשים, הערה דהערה דהערה. One הערה is בריאה, another הערה of this הערה is יצירה, and הערה of the second הערה is עשייה. שהוא האור והחיוס האלוקי שנמשך בכל הנבראים. So he's alluding to the light and the divine life force that is drawn from Atzilus into all creations, וכמאמר, as it says, הזן ומפרנס, in פרשס ראה, הזן ומפרנס מקרני ראמים עד ביצי קינים. That Hashem sustains and nourishes, or nourishes and sustains all creatures, from the biggest creatures, like the horns of the re'emim. Re'em is a very big animal that some say that doesn't exist anymore. Some kind of a big, huge buffalo, I don't know how to describe it. A big ram, big behemoth. A huge beast. And we're talking about the horns of this beast. All the way down that Hashem sustains. So the highest of the highest. All the way down to the Beitzei Kinim. So this is a description of the divine light that goes through and sustains the entire Seder Ishtalshelus, as we see in a moment. From the horns, the highest of the highest, the horns of the rams, of the Re'em, all the way to the eggs of the lice, Beitzei Kinim. Not stam the Torah says Beitzei Kinim. That symbolizes the lowest level of existence, that hides Elokus the most. You see the least Gilui Elokus, the least life. והאור והחיוס מאיר ונמשך גם במדרגות היותר תחתונים והיותר שפלים. That means that this light and this life force shines and is drawn all the way to the lowest levels of existence, the lowliest, the eggs of the kinim, of the lice, as we'll see. And by the way, this not stam, it was that Makas Kinim began the turnaround of Yetzias Mitzrayim. Dafka the Makkah of Kinim, that which the witchcraft, the magicians could not deal with such small creatures. Any case, there's a side comment. Kamo shekatuv, now the Rebbe brings Tehillim, Kuf Lamed Tes, Pasuk Ches. David HaMelech says, Im esak shamayim shamata. There is a nigun. If anybody wants to sing, Yizun Terei. Im esak shamayim shamata. If I ascend to the heavens, there you are. Ve'atzia she'ol lineka. And if I lie down in the abyss, in the lowest, there you are. והיינו דאף על פי שישנם העניינים שהם למטה מטה. That means that even though there are realities that are mata mata, don't we see them in Gaza now? כמו שנתבהר לאל ברוך כמה דרגות בזה עד למטה מטה. As explained, many levels in this, all the way down, 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 that holding, so to speak, idealistic ideas in the name of which doing the worst. מכל מקום גם עניינים אלו, even nevertheless, even those matters, הם בכלל, they are included in מה שכתוב ואתה מחיה את כולם. In the passage from Nehemiah, that you animate and sustain, create and animate and sustain them all. Kulam daika, all of them, no exception. שכולל גם העניינים שהם למטה מטה ביותר. This includes godliness reaching the lowest realities. אפילו קליפוס, even קליפוס, ואפילו העניינים שלמטה מקליפוס. And even matters that are lower than קליפוס. שזהו העובר על רצונו יתברך כדלקמן סעיף ד' ה'. And this alludes to, refers to those who are transgressing God's will in a major way, as will be explained further in סעיף ג' ד' and ה'. But now let's go a little bit further. סעיף ג'. והעניין בזה, the Rebbe explains. So it goes like this. והנה מה שכתוב, but Nehemiah says, ואתה מחיה את כולם. What is this pasuk, ואתה מחיה את כולם? You are giving life to all. אין הכוונה לעצמוס ממש. אתה doesn't mean עצמוס ממש. That gives life to all. Hello? Any questions? Who else gives life to all? Anybody with me? The Rebbe is saying here, אתה מחיה את כולם. You give life to all. That's what Nehemiah is, a prophet, holy man, says.
Can it be that Hashem, we don't want to say that about the Atzmus? Like we don't want to say
who else gives life to all? Is another guy that gives life to all? Obviously not. It means that it's not Atzmus, the way Atzmus is in relation to itself, is Atzmus the way Atzmus operates through Oisios, as we will learn in a moment. As Atzmus as expressed as a creator. אין הכוונה לעצמוס ממש, כמו שביאר רבינו הזקן בשער הייחוד והאמונה, בפירוש ואתה מחיה את כולם. As the Alter Rebbe explains in שער הייחוד והאמונה, regarding this pasuk, that use animates and all, שתיבת ואתה היינו בחינס האוסיוס מאלף ועד תף, וההי היא ה' מוצאוס הפה, מקור האוסיוס, והרי העצמוס הוא למעלה מעניין האוסיוס, דלא יסרמז בלא שום אוס ולא בשום קוץ. ואף שאין איזה עניין אחר שמחיה חס ושלום מלבד העצמוס, ועל דרך מאמר הז"ל אליו ולא למידויסיו, מכל מקום אופן החיוס יכול להיות כפי שהעצמוס הוא כמו שהוא, או כפי שרצון העצמוס הוא להעלים ולהסתיר את עצמו. Explains the Rebbe like this. What does it mean ואתה מחיה את כולם? ואתה מחיה, the word ואתה is made of aleph and you. You is aleph, taf, hey. So ואתה means that everything is created through the 22 letters, מאלף ועד תף, כף בייס אוסיוס, התורה, with which Hashem created the world. That's מאלף ועד תף. That's ata, that's aleph and taf of the word ata. And what is left is the hey. The hey is hey motz hape. The hey is the 5 sources of articulation that we have, that the voice comes from the throat and goes and hits the palate or the teeth or the lips or the tongue and so on, to create different groups of letters. So there are 5 sources of articulations in the mouth, and so too in the divine mouth, which is Malchus, Sphiras HaMalchus of Atzilus, that creates this world and sustains it, the way it comes down to Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. De'ara. It's all done through oisios, bidvar Hashem, shamayim na'asu, beruach piv, kol tzva'am. It's all the dvar Hashem, the dibur of Hashem. The mouth of Hashem is, the divine mouth is Malchus. Malchus Peh. That articulates, and as it takes the Or and Sof and divides it to letters, now different creations are being created. As it's broken down to sub-forces that create finite beings, spiritual ones, physical ones. This is Atah. The Aleph Ataf, the divine creative, 22 creative forces that are represented by the letters Aleph through Taf, and the 5 sources of articulation of Sphiros HaMalchus. It's really 5 tzimtzumim. Because how does the mouth articulate? There is a plain voice that comes from the lungs, up the throat. It's a plain voice. How is it now broken down to articulate different letters and different words? It's done through the tzimtzumim of this one plain voice now being broken down through the 5 sources of articulation, different areas of the mouth. And so too Malchus has 5 main gvuros, 5 main tzimtzumim, that are enabling the Or and Sof to come down and be broken through oisios, different forces, to be appearing and creating finite spiritual and physical beings. Now, והרי העצמוס הוא למעלה מעניין האוisios. עצמוס is higher than oisios. There's no ois, lo yisramez, it cannot be alluded to, not by an os, not even the coats, not even the crown on top of the coats that is even higher than of the ois, higher than the letter itself. There is no form that can represent him himself. ואף שאין איזה עניין אחר שמחיה חס ושלום מלבד העצמוס. And even though we חס ושלום, we are going to the fire, say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. We believe in the oneness of Hashem. So who else gives chayos to the world? אתה מחיה את כולם, to everybody. ואף שאין, there's no other עניין that gives life, creates and gives life besides the Atzmos. Of course, it's him himself. To the extent that Chazal warn us, when you daven, elav velo lemidosav, make sure you're not davening to the midos of Hashem, midas hachesed, or midas hagvura, that Yishu menatzeach, or midas hachesed. You daven to Or Ein Sof itself, to Elokus, in the keli of gvura, in the keli of chesed. You daven elav velo lemidosav. He is giving life, not anybody else, nothing else. However, Hashem can give life in two ways generally. One is often החיות יכול להיות כפי שעצמוס הוא כמו שהוא. Hashem can give life the way he is in relation to himself, the way he is. Then everything will be infinite, nothing else will exist. Or Hashem can give life in another way. He can give life in a way that כפי שרצון העצמוס, that he himself wants to להעלים ולהסתיר את עצמו. He wants to give life in such a way that he is hidden and concealed from the creation. באור עליון, and he does it with a divine light that conceals him. Next page. We'll finish the paragraph and stop for tonight. שקמי יזברך הוא כמהו. It's such a high divine light, nevertheless, that in relation to him, it's dark. It's darkness. Which means Hashem really has to, any gilui, any revelation that he has to generate, for him means another concealment, another concealment, another concealment, another darkness. וזהו מה שביאר רבנו הזקן, שתבס ואתה קאי על האויסיוס. This is what the Alter Rebbe is hinting here, that the word ve'ata refers to letters, how Hashem chooses to reveal himself, to give life in a manner of oisios, in a manner of tzimtzumim, of limitations and boundaries. דהיינו, שהמשחס החיוס בכל הנבראים היא על ידי סלבשוס העצמוס להעלים ולהסתיר את עצמו על ידי האויסיוס. That means that the המשכה of life force in all creations is through Hashem investing himself in such a way that he is concealing himself through these creative oisios. And according to this, if you look at the Arayud, it's understood why you have to be מה שמובן, מה שצריך להביא ראיה ממה שכתוב ואתה מחיה את כולם. אף שזה דבר פשוט שאין עוד מלבדו. Why you have to bring all these proofs? Why you have to explain all this? Because it's לכאורה, seemingly, it's a simple thing, obvious thing, that אין עוד מלבדו, who else gives life? But כי הכוונה היא על עניין האור, הערס אור אלוקי שנמשך למטה עד אין תכלס. But the meaning is the or that takes on all kinds of shapes and all kinds of forms. Ha'aras or Eloki, that is drawn. So that means that the Hashem himself is revealing himself through a light that goes lemata mata ad ein tachlis. How is it possible? Through this oisios, as we will learn. So this is part of the beginning of the Rebbe beginning to explain what it means, Or Ein Sof lemata mata ad ein tachlis ve'ata mechayeh es kulam. There's one thing that he cannot do, replace our freedom of choice by his choice. And not the freedom of choice of the world. That's one thing that only we and the world can do. And he wants the whole world to be Basi Legani. And this is how we should look, and maybe this is the way we should conclude this Farbrengen. There's that in this, the light of all this, of what the Rebbe is, and the Frierdiker Rebbe left as tzava to our generation, to keep it in our consciousness, Fegi. That when we are challenged with so much darkness, and so much evil, and so much sheker, so much false, so many lies, such distortion of the truth, of reality, of what really is. Two ways to look at it. We can look at it from a defeated, bitter way and saying, is it worth it all? It's horrible. And see all the anti-Semitism and and see all the negative. Or we can see the vision of the Rebbe who told us that now we can already see how this world is Gnuni, is a world where the Chassan and Kala can God and the Jewish people and then the whole world around us can celebrate the greatest intimacy and the greatest celebration and the greatest oneness. And this is the education of the Rebbe to Dor HaShvi, us, the Chayalim who are Anshe HaChayil on the battlefield, that we should not lose our optimism. And instead of seeing all the anti-Semitism and this and that and all the negative, we should see the transformation that is happening in the world.
Hear about the transformation of these Risha'im Gemurim.
These Risha'im Gemurim are now being tackled. This is the end of the Klippa, and with Miras Hashem they will be eliminated. And everything that and everybody that will identify and all opinions that identify. This is the last straw. This is the last battle. This is the last. It's a big one, but it's the last one. Nevertheless, there's a lot of good in the world, and Yidden are in a good state in the world. There's a lot to thank for, and a lot of comfort, and a lot of possibilities of Afatas Amarianos and spreading spirituality and being in conversation with Jews and non-Jews and spirituality and goodness and the awareness of tzedakah in the world and even the most self-centered actors, narcissistic personalities are pursuing charity and so on. There's a lot of God, there's a lot of goodness in the world, and we are almost there. We are almost there, and this is how we should see it. We should see it with excitement. We are in a wonderful time. It's not a bad time. It's a wonderful time. Yes, there are sacrifices, and it's the last battle. It's a harsh battle, but it's a wonderful finale of this war that is ending with Gilui Elokus B'chol HaOlam, and we are now at the end of it, and a lot of light is already shining, and we shouldn't focus on emphasizing the opposite. That's our avoida. To go as Ansh Baalei Mesirus Nefesh. How does Chayal go to the battle, the crowd? He goes like, oh, look at this, oh, so many cannons they have, such evil enemy, oi. No. We're going in the march of Nitzachon, knowing I'm going in the Shem HaMelech. There's some letters and conversations that were recorded from Chayalim who went to the battlefield and say, I'm going with joy, knowing that I probably will lose my life. And I'm so proud that I can do this for Hashem, for Eretz HaKodesh, for the Jewish people. You saw the light of the neshama shines. This is the approach that we should all have now. Not that we should all die. We should all live forever. And those who gave their lives will come back very soon. And in their schools, we have the Geula HaNitzchis, Geula HaMitis Vashleima. But the spirit that we should now adopt is Boel Paro, not with the most optimistic and confident attitude. Get into the lower Hari. We can get into the Boel Paro, as the Rebbe says, And we are doing it with confidence that Hashem is coming with us, not is only coming with us, giving us all the oitzros that we can't even imagine, what each and every one of us can reveal now within yourself, within myself. And it's time to be able to, I can transcend my ego, I transcend all my insecurities, my jealousies, and my anger, and my I don't know, greediness and addictions, and all the things in Mitzrayim that that's it. We are going out. This is the Parsha. With Makas Bechoros, the Arizal explains that through these 10 Makos, Moshe Rabbeinu, he could do it in one Makkah, bring Bechoros and finish the Maaseh. That through striking Egypt, which is a representation of the kfira of the world, of the heresy, of depleting the world from God. So Hashem, through Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron, his brother, is striking the 10 spheres of Klippa, starting from the bottom, which is Dam, all the way to Makas Bechoros, which the Bechor represents this Keren of the Re'em, Sfiras HaKeser. We will talk about it next time. Which means even the Tainug is conquered. Sfiras HaKeser. The infinite Tainug that human beings will experience from divine matters only, from seeing Elokus. So the Makkah was the Bechor of Parot, to strike the Keser of Klippa, that there's no vision of Klippa can be taking over anymore, and no lie, no sheker can replace the Keresh of the Mishkan, the truth. And we are now at the end of this process. We are coming out of Mitzrayim, and it happens every year. And the Rebbe says now it's time to go, Ispru, time to go out of all Mitzrayim of any lights, any Giluim, in no restraint whatsoever. We have the Koichas for it. Sai milamaila and Sai milamata. Even in infinity, there is the aspect of infinity because of which is called Soivev. Soivev means, the term Soivev, which denotes the infinite expression of Elokus, is misleading, because Soivev means it surrounds, and it's not the truth. This light is not just surrounds the world, it's in the world. So why is it called Soivev? Because it's not recognized. It's superconscious. It's not revealed to the world. The world don't have the kelim to perceive this light. But why it's called Soivev? If it's Soivev, it means that it surrounds the world. The term Soivev means surrounding, okay, superconsciously. But it still relates to the world if it says Soivev. So it has a relation, this aspect of Or Ein Sof that is in relation to worlds. And then this aspect of Or Ein Sof that's not in relation with world at all. Le'ela and Le'ela, as we learn in Torah Or, remember? Soivev, that's the divine energy that brings us into existence. We are aware of this is the topic of next time. We are aware of the aspect of the divine light that animates us. We are aware of the fact that we are alive. We can call it Elokus, we can call it something else, but we are aware of that energy. We are not at all aware of the energy that brings us into existence, Yesh Me'ayin. That's an expression of Soivev. But in Chassidus, you have to always know in what context everything is mentioned. Everything is relative, because the word Soivev can be used in so many ways in Chassidus. It can be generally denotes anything above Seder Ishtalshelus with no distinctions. But if you want to zoom into Soivev, you see that then you can might use different names, because an aspect of our Soivev relates to worlds, and it's the aspect that recreates them. which we completely are not aware of. It's superconscious. That's why it's called Makif. Soiv in Kabbalah, Makif, in Hasidus Soiv. It's not Soiv,
So
it's in us.
there's-
It's in
what's the
every
word?
atom, excuse me, it's in every atom and molecule and how do you call it, electron, and every cell of our body. So why Soiv? Because it's not revealed to us. We're not. But in Soiv, this aspect of Or and Sof that is relation to worlds, and this aspect of Or and Sof is its relation to its source, to God itself. And
But
that's
it seems like-
completely above, and not shaykh to worlds. We're talking about Soiv, not Lemale, but in Soiv, you're talking about a teacher who is very, very high level. So he gives a shiur, and you have two types of students, how they reacted, okay? None of them understood it was so high that none of them really understood and could digest and process what he taught. But some that were the smartest have an idea what he was talking about. And they came out completely confused, because it was above what they could contain, but it was effective enough to create confusion. There are some who will leave the class, they're not confused, they're not nothing, they didn't get anything what he said, it did not naga lo paga, didn't touch, they're not confused, they're not upset, they're happy as possible, as they were before the class began, because they didn't get anything, they didn't relate to it whatsoever, so everything is fine. So there are all the kinds of levels of Soiv, and we have to appreciate it. There's all kind of levels of Giluim, and then we'll appreciate what it means higher than Giluim. But first you have to appreciate what the Gilui of Soiv is. Hashem is counting on us. We are what he is having in mind when he splurges all his oysters that nobody had seen before. You and me. We are living in nucleus times. And Bezras Hashem, the vision of the Rebbe and the koichos of the Rebbe, and how he opens it up to us and empowers us to really finish the job and bring in the Galos Malchus Shamayim, and we need to do it with a march of victory, with Midas HaNetzach, with positivity, with faith and trust and discussions to the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach that says that we are the Dor HaTshi, that at the door of the Frierdiker Rebbe wasn't a keli yet to come to Paro, to deal with such revelation, to deal with godliness without any restraint. But we, says the Rebbe, we are ready. And the world is ready. This Bar Malchus, this Parsha, the world is ready. And therefore we should go with a victory march, with optimism, knowing that we are mamash now in the last steps of the unfolding of the Geula, and we given such weapons that no enemy will resist. And the world will be filled with the knowledge of God, Kamayim Layam Mechasim. And it should be taken b'yad mamash, and the Rebbe should lead everyone in all the medias and give instructions to each nation what to do and what to go and what to accomplish. And we should celebrate together learning Chassidus in Beis HaMikdash. Hashlishi v'Nitzchi. And we will not have to learn that much, because we will all know Hashem by just seeing Him. So we will not have to have such big brains. We just have to be open eyes, as the Rebbe says, and we will see Him.